seen any of your books that you've written or the movie that you did that you would identify with personally?
No. I was gonna get, no. I was gonna get to this point. If you disagree with the education that you're getting, I happen to not like education the way it is today, but I have ideas on how to improve it, and I am, right? I have a publishing company, and we're publishing our own books for teachers and students. Because I did two for Heinemann, and they made so much money. But they're making all the money at Houghton Mifflin in New York and New Hampshire. We decided to start our own publishing house, and now we're coming out with our first book, and we have 2 more scheduled, right? So, I don't like education because it allows you to be dumb. And I don't like that. I'm going to give you a diploma because you're stupid. I'll ask you one question really quick. When somebody's smart, you're informed, pretty much, right? And you all knew that I was coming today, did you? You did? Great. How many books do I have? Huh? I have 26 books in 33 languages. That's absolutely right. So you're the only one that knew that in this room, right? Who else? You knew too? Wow. So listen, where education stops, that's where you use it. You use it where it stops. And then you go on with your own love of learning. You get it? You use education where it stops. For instance, she knew, but the majority of you didn't know that. So, Baca's coming and he's got this book. Great, we're going to listen to him, right? So, that's where education stopped. That's what your professor gave you was here. And then where the learning started was you go and investigate how many books I have. What were they about? That's where your love of learning kicks in. And that is what's going to make you successful. Not scoring an A on the one book that you were supposed to look at because I was coming. That's where education stops and starts. Then you go on from there. Otherwise, don't complain. The kids at Yale said to me, people of color are not going to have their names on roads. We are. We have the money. And they're not going to run corporations. We are. They're going to clean our homes. I was like, wow. Who taught you that? Well, our parents in the society. The only thing that can fight against entitlement like that is personal efforts to transcend the environment that you're in, right? So if I give you a book to read, and you read it, you're not transcending the environment. You're just doing what's expected of you. But if you go beyond that and go out and get 6 more books and read them, the kid at Yale, suddenly, the kid at Yale is going to be cleaning your yard. Right now it's like this. Because I got an A and I did everything I was expected to do. But you did nothing beyond that. How many of you have been to the hospital working with kids who have AIDS? How many of you have been to jails teaching kids in jail how to read and write? There's so many things you can do. How many of you have been out to the freaking lagoon out here where the airport is and clean up the water every morning? How many of you have gone out there and sat naked in front of the courthouse and demanded justice for all the men and women in prisons that were taken away because they're poor? How many of you start, it could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, right? So, I continue to get letters from all over the world. I mean, real letters, not emails. I get real letters. And let me tell you about this journey of this one kid. Amazing. He was in Alameda, and I went in there, and I had to redefine what violence was for these kids, because there was a bunch of them going to prison for life. And I had to redefine for this one kid what it was. And every time I got a letter from him, he sent me a bunch of quarters and nickels and dimes in a dirty envelope. And I thought that was so touching. I said, wow. He said, this is for you, for your work and stuff like that. And that wasn't indication that he was just trying to learn how to read and write. And it was funny because it wasn't funny. His father and his mother are both in prison for crack, and he's in prison for crack, right? So it was one of those crazy things. He was telling me stories about when he came home. And he took the rap for his mother, and they gave him 15 years or something like that, you know. So we followed him all the way through. But every time that kid wrote me a letter, a little skinny black kid like this, didn't know how to read or write. Every time he wrote me a letter, he seemed to get smarter, more brilliant, more wise, more confident, confirmed his affirmation in the universe, you know? And then I started getting letters from other inmates saying that he asked them to write and this and that. 15 years later, me and him are still friends, and he's about 3,000 times smarter than I could ever be. Isn't that amazing? In prison. He does like 3 hours of deep meditation in the morning, you know? He sits with the people that are dying that got stabbed in prison fights. He goes to the infirmary and sits with them and holds their hand. Isn't that amazing? That's a freaking warrior, man. He can kill you in a second if you want to, but he brings you the ability to cry with him over each other's pain. You know, since when did we not decide to make pain a non-community issue? Since when did we decide to give our pain to a dude who can give us pills? To the drug dealer? Hey dude, I'm really, really in pain. Can I have some drugs? Yeah, give me anything you got in those bottles. Hey, yeah, that's some Oxy. I take more Oxy. You got it, right? Since when did we take our pain to that place instead of each other, like he's doing in San Quentin? He's got a big group of men. They're talking about their pain. That means they're not going to come out and kill our kids. I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to say to you one thing. You can mix education with spirituality and have a great, great, great life. Okay? And you can be beautiful and sexy and hot and do everything. Because with spirituality, you can be whatever you want to be. And I happen to find most people who are really spiritual are really hot. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, he's so hot. If I still smoke that light, my cigar right off your old rock. You know, or I come to bed with one of those fire retardant suits. I say, Mama, I don't want to get burned during sex, man. Come on. You ever see a guy go to bed with a fire department suit on with a big hat? Kind of my head fall off. Okay, any other questions? For the kids in here, I was going to show you the 2 books I was going to sell you. One I was going to give you.
I saw your interview with Quan News, and I was wondering, you had said that Quan News, and I don't know what the reporter's name was.
It was in Guam.
Yeah.
Oh, in Guam.
Guam. Yeah, in Guam. It was Quan News. And you had said that from 5 to 29, you were in the system and that you didn't have the ability, you didn't have the social skills, and that, you know, being with a woman and eating food on eating, you didn't have those social skills, and that you learned those social skills through reading literature in jail. So what is that? Well, when you came out of jail, did you still like experience those social behaviors that you learned through literature, or did you adapt and create your own? Or what was that experience like afterwards?
Gosh, that's a big question, wasn't it? I don't know. I only got like a quarter of that. But to suffice to say that I love reading, and a lot of what I learned in life came through reading. I just love reading. I mean, I just love it. It's like, wow, just amazing. I just love reading. Let me ask you a question really quick. Raise your hand. Give me 5 young black poets that have published their first book here in the Bay Area. Name them. Oh boy. Give me 5 beautiful young Chicana poets who have published their first book here in the Bay Area. What the fuck? What's up with this? This is your life. This is your life. And what she just said to me about the books that influenced you, that impressed you, that changed you, that molded you into who you are right now in front of this class. Why are you letting all these kids at Stanford read the books? You want to be dumb? Why in Stanford are they reading them and you're not here? Oh, I get it, because you're not entitled to those books, right? It's because we grew up with saying you don't deserve this. You don't deserve books that tell you you're beautiful. You don't deserve books that say here's different ways of looking at reality. Here's ways to deal with your trauma. This is what you can change. Because for most parts, poets are, if anything, they're about confronting and changing. Asian Americans, how many? Give me 3 national Asian American poets. I see all the Asians going, Asian, what is that? I'm kidding you. 3! All right, well, you got to turn in a lot more than your homework, right? Or you have to turn yourselves in right now to the nearest corporation for minimum wage, because obviously you don't want to learn. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm an asshole by nature, you know. My kids, I expect my own children, you know. They have to speak 2 or 3 languages at least by the time they're 10. They have to, in order to be citizens of the world, you know. And they get treated by traveling around the world with me. We're going to Quebec with my one son, and I'm taking my daughter to Paglia, Italy. She was, I want her to see a castle. My wife is like, what? $9,000 that I could buy a beautiful, beautiful bracelet with, and you're taking her to see a castle? I said, on my way, Mama. I'll put my mad dog down there, my prison attitude, like, get on my way. Any other questions? You're allowed to ask questions. I know you kind of walked in on the madness. That's that reefer we smoked when you were gone. We're all feeling kind of good right now. You got any questions in the corner there? Who's the guy in the back? Who are you, man? What's going on? Oh, anybody got any questions anymore? Yeah. I am going to talk later on, right?
Yes.
How long is this talk, by the way? Are we almost done?
Yeah, class is over at 10:50.
Oh, good, great. Okay. Anybody who had a question? Yeah.
I was just wondering how you deal with specific expectations after like going through all you went through. Because I'm 20, and I think I can speak for a lot of people here that my parents expect me to know exactly what I want to do right away, what career to go into, and how I'm gonna handle it. When in reality, I really have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm not really sure how to like handle it.
There has to be a solution for that. There has to be a solution for putting on so much pressure to young people like you that you have to know everything. There has to be a solution that you can't keep living under that kind of stress. You can't. I mean, yeah, bring the drug dealers in because we need them. It's inhuman to have to exist under this type of stress. You can't. And for what? For what? What are you doing it for? Why are you putting yourself through so much stress that the inside of your heart looks like a gray-haired old heart? Why? I don't know. I don't know what. I don't like the word expectations. I don't like that word because you have to ask yourself, who wrote that book on expectations? Did somebody write the book that I'm supposed to fulfill their expectations? What about me writing my own narrative? And I'll tell you what my expectations are. You see? It decides who's the author. So in this case, your parents are writing this book, aren't they? They're saying now, so-and-so is going to go to school, and so-and-so is going to do this, and so-and-so is going to do this, right? Well, that's the cataclysmic confrontation is when you decide to tell your parents one day, hey, guess what? I'm going to become a mountain climber. What? What happened to the biology teacher? Well, I'll do that too, but not right now. I'm going to go see if I can climb Mount Everest. Really? You know what I'm saying? It's that whole thing of lack of not being able to communicate. See? Not being able to communicate. That's what's happened. I love education, okay? I use it as a rhetorical sense. I say I don't. But I love it. I use education to teach people around the world about the value of their lives. Okay? Inherent in the value of your lives in any discussion about your life is the value of communication. And everybody in prison in California today is there because they don't know how to communicate. Simple as that. If you would have given them words to express themselves, they wouldn't be in prison today. Right? So it's a really crazy thing. I can't go on and on and on. But I wanted to give your professor, your teacher, a gift. I like gifts.
Nice.
I have another one for you. It's my first book when I was making Blood and Blood. How many of you saw that movie? Did you like it? Yeah? My first one. I'm getting back into the movie business again. It's like advertisement. No.
I'm gonna get this big cheesy smile.
Hey, so listen, I'm sorry I didn't.
All right.
I don't really know her that well. I don't know her at all. So I don't know what she's all about. Hopefully she'll be okay, you know? Huh? So, here, who has $10 that wants to buy? Come step right over here. And it's the first class, only the first class, which I love. It's coming out in January. These are the galleys. They call these galleys when they send them out to reviewers and stuff. I have one called The Face. And they picked a writer out from 12 countries. And the first writer was a Palestinian writer who wrote a book about his face. And they called me and said about doing it. I thought, that's very cool, you know, to write a book about your face. Dude, I could laugh all day long at mine, you know. So I did. I wrote this book about my face, and the guy went crazy. He said, and they published it, and it's gone viral, and it's gone all over the world, and it's on e-books, and you should try that as an essay sometime. Write about your face, because faces are the first ones to kiss. They're the first ones to feel the result of violence and anger. They're the first ones to see horrible trauma when you peek around the corner into your some room and you're like, oh my God. And the first ones to hear a police siren or a scream or a laughter. Our faces carry like this whole universe of stimulation and we're also, the face is what the police like to hit when they stop you. And you also have kisses, right? You also have this beautiful landscape where tears get to roll down when someone hurts your feelings. And then this beautiful face that you can show sorrow with, which is like been outlawed in this country. You can't publicly show sorrow, but it would be so healthy if you could be sorrowful. And it's all this right here. It takes place in this little tiny thing right here. Isn't that awesome? Crazy? So write about your face. That's a really great topic. And turn in the assignment on time.
We paid him to say that.
But I think I'm out of time. But let me ask you a question. As a writer, I really don't know much about what I was saying. But did it make sense to you about this whole quality of living and making it yours, keeping your voice intact? Yeah. One of my problems is this. It's not really a problem. When I go home, I live in the emergent. They call it the emergent womb. It's the emergent womb. That's where all the tribes in New Mexico keep that as their place where they emerged from, where I live. I live in the womb of where the tribes were born, right? And one of the things that we tell ourselves when we come back is, did I lose my voice? Did I lose my voice? So when I come back, I have to stand in this canyon, has one of the incredible cliffs in the world, has all these Anasazi, amazing stuff. Waterfalls, bears, lions, everything, eagles, and I have to say my name 4 directions, and I can see if I left it anywhere, right? And when you don't, when you bring it back with you, that means you're doing good, right? You leave your voices in bars, you leave them in drugs, you leave them by not doing not going to school. You leave your voices in places not good. If you do your education, you do it good, you hand your assignments, and you excel, and then move on from there. Keeping your voice intact and making it stronger. Okay, so thanks a lot, everybody, for being so nice.
Big hands. Big up.